Jump start. Riders ready. Watch the gate.
The time that I wake up every morning varies. I don't have anything super set in stone. So this day I got up at 8 a.m. and then I always start my day with a shower. Also on the way out, my dog Olive was waiting for me, so had to say hi to her real quick. And then I headed back to my room to get dressed for the day. On this day, I had gates and gym planned for training, so I wanted to choose an outfit that would match both of those. So I first started off with some black shorts. Also, check out this sick shirt of the Polk BMX magazine cover that I was on in 2023. Erickson Spray Foam made me a handful of them, and I was able to give some out at Grand, so I hope some of you were lucky enough to get one, but these are super cool and super thankful, and thanks to Erickson Spray Foam for supporting me. For the day, I went with a black Thor shirt, so we're black on black, but looking stealth. Also, can't forget a hat. We went with a white Syndyt hat, which is the team I will be riding for next year, and I'm super excited and I can't wait to get my frame. So here's the outfit for the day. And then I grabbed my favorite water bottle, which doubles as a foam roller, so I think it's pretty sick. And then I headed downstairs to make some breakfast. So my current nutritional goals are to have low calories but high protein. So I want to stay in a caloric deficit, which is consuming less calories or energy than I use, so then I can burn a little bit of that fat weight off. But I also want to have enough protein to where I can build muscle. So I'll be losing some fat weight but gaining muscle weight. So my overall goal isn't necessarily to lose weight, but I want to lose some of that unnecessary fat weight and then gain some muscle as well. To keep track of this, I have a food tracker on my phone where I log all of my meals and everything I eat throughout the days, so I know exactly where I'm at each day for all my goals. Also, this sounds bad, but I'm a huge fan of microwaving leftovers. I hate cooking for 30 minutes and then eating it all in 5 minutes. It just feels like a waste of time. So I like to cook once and then have enough left over where I can eat it on future days. Additionally, I started taking creatine before Grands. It's supposed to help with recovery and help sprinters, so that's just something I wanted to implement, and honestly, I haven't felt a huge difference, but scientifically it should work, and many others are using it, so I figured if other people are using it, I should probably be using it too, so I'm not at a disadvantage. I actually cycled off creatine after Grands, so I'm currently in a loading phase getting back into it. So at the moment, I'm taking 2 scoops of creatine per day, so 1 in the morning here with breakfast, and then we'll have 1 in the afternoon. Also, while I'm downstairs, I fill up my water bottle. I go through a few of these a day, and I've been trying to improve my overall health, so doing things besides training, such as staying hydrated, taking my creatine, eating well, stretching, foam rolling, all that kind of stuff, so really putting an emphasis on staying healthy. So now that breakfast is done and I'm all fueled up for the day, let's head upstairs. On the left, you can see one of my bikes. That's actually the bike that I got National Number 1 Amateur on, so it's cool to have that as a little display. And now it's time for work. So many of you may know that I'm actually a videographer and photographer. So for work, I work for Vance and Hines Motorsports. I do their content creation. So that consists of taking photos and videos for them and includes running their social media. So on this day, I was working on a product video, which was for their engine valves. So it took about 45 minutes, but overall, I was pretty happy with it. And if you want to see it, it's on their Instagram, Vance and Hines Motorsports. With my work done for the day, it was time for training. It was really cold outside, so we had to grab a big jacket, and then we're heading out to do gates. Usually I do a minimum of 25 gates to get a lot of repetitions in, but on this day it was really cold and there was a huge headwind and it was actually snowing, so I decided to dial it down a little bit and we were aiming for 15 gates. So with that headwind in mind, you can't really base the session off the numbers because obviously you're going to be a little bit slower than you would be without the headwind. But something that I really improved in the last few months of 2023 was my mentality when it comes to training and racing. Obviously, you should have data and track your numbers when it comes to training and racing so that you can see progress, but one bad session does not change the improvements made over a long period of time. Essentially, I came to the realization that all you can do is your best and give it your 100% every single repetition, and if you do that, then that's all you really could have done. You can't just magically go faster or try harder. You just have to do your 100% and do your job right every single time. And this has helped me take away some unnecessary nerves in racing because when you get on the gate, you can't worry about anything else but yourself. So if you just do your best gate and your best lap, then that's all you can really do. If you do everything right and you made no mistakes and it still wasn't enough, that's when you go back home and work harder in training. So I've been using the same exact ProStart portable gate for the last 5 years, and this has been one of the most helpful training tools that I have, and I use the gate almost daily. So just at a glance, you can tell how windy, cold, and snowy it was. So obviously these are not the best conditions, but this is a challenge that you face when you live in places with harsh winters. Even though it may be more difficult, you still need to find a way to get on your bike and train because at the end of the day, we are BMX racers and you can't take a full off season without riding your bike. So whether it's riding on rollers in the house or going to a parking garage or even finding a way to do your bike work outside, you need to be on your bike and not solely focused on the gym or strength and conditioning. The bike work is a little less important in the off season versus when you're in season because you don't have any races, but our off season is so short that in my opinion you really need to be on the bike even in the off season. As you can see, I built up a new bike. The frame is a little longer and the cranks are also a little longer. So there's quite a bit to get used to, and with our first race coming up in a couple weeks, I'm really trying to get used to this bike as fast as I can. But regardless of the times and the weather, I felt really good on the bike and I'm finally starting to feel comfortable. So after my first 7 gates, I found the fastest time and I came up with a goal that I wanted to hit that time or faster 3 times in a row before I was done. The first 2 gates after making that goal, I got my fastest time 2 in a row, so then it all came down to the third one. Setting goals like this makes you push harder, especially when you don't have anyone to train with, so it gives you something to chase and push to achieve. This also brings up a pressure situation. Just like a main event where you have to do well on that one lap, it all comes down to this 3rd gate in a row, but you can't change your mindset, you just have to keep doing the same things that you've been doing because they've been working, so if you do that same thing again, it'll work. So focusing on doing the right things every single time and not changing your process no matter what the situation is a great piece to add to your mindset, and it'll really help you execute properly on every single lap. On that 3rd gate in a row, I was able to get my fastest gate of the whole entire session, and you see this a lot where there's some pressure on the line. It actually makes you go faster and you dig deeper and find that extra 1%. So only being 10 gates in, I was close enough to 15, so I still finished off those last 5, and I was really pushing to hit a 2.40, but unfortunately I wasn't able to make that happen, and my fastest time for the session was a 2.41. And for those of you wondering, this is a different timing setup from my documentary, so these times are not comparable. So I ended with 15 gates, and it was a good time to stop because it was really snowing hard and the ground was starting to get wet, so it wasn't the best conditions and started to get a little unsafe. So overall, the times for the session were about as consistent as the wind was, so sometimes there was a gust of headwind and it made the time slower, but I still felt really good and I was really happy with the session and I gave it my 100% every single gate. So now with gates done, it's time to head back inside and get some more things done. At this point, it was around 11 a.m. and the first thing I did was I sent all my times to my coach, who is Donovan Long, and we kind of analyzed the session and talked about it a bit. Following that, I have a to-do list, and every day I mark things off that to-do list, and one thing that was on the agenda, which doesn't happen every day, is setting goals for 2024. Creating specific goals every single year is super important so you have something to chase and try to accomplish. I set a lot of different goals and for many different aspects of my life. Obviously, most of them are BMX related, but I also have some life goals and other types of goals. One goal that I wanted to share with you guys was I want to post at least one video every single week on YouTube in 2024. If I miss a video one week, then I have to double up another week, but I want to have at least 52 videos next year. With those 2 things done, it's time for lunch. I'm a big fan of these Banquet Mega Bowls. They are high in protein and low in calories, so it's perfect for my nutritional goals. In addition, I paired up the bowl with a carb balanced tortilla, which is very low in calories at only 70 calories. So that brings my total to 852 calories, so I have a little less than 1,000 calories left for the day. Those calories will go towards a protein shake after the gym, followed by dinner as well. So after having lunch, it was time to go to the gym. So just to touch on where I'm at, many of you may know that Grands did not go the way I wanted to. I felt like I was riding really good at Grands, but in the main, it just didn't go my way. But with 2024 going to be my first year in pro, it feels like I haven't had that heavy weight of that bad ending on my shoulders during the off season, and I have something to look forward to. So I'm super excited to be moving up to the pro class in 2024, but it's going to be a difficult one. So this is going to be a big challenge, but I've really had to analyze and assess my weaknesses. I feel like I've really maximized myself in the past 2 years with technique and form, but one area that I feel like I've lacked has been the explosiveness and physical aspects. So after Grands, I didn't touch my bike for the first week and only did gym, and then the second week I started to sprinkle in some bike work along with my gym. My main focus for these 2 weeks were the gym, so I was really shooting for that 10 to 15 rep range and pushing to failure as much as I can. This is to really focus on hypertrophy, which is muscle growth, and try to build some muscle on my body. With the first race only a couple weeks away, we're starting to dial back the reps but increase the weight to build some more explosiveness, and then also add in some explosive exercises alongside those. So in this session, I went up in weight on most exercises, which means I was doing less reps, but I was still pushing to failure for that hypertrophy. This gym session, I had 10 exercises on the agenda, and I superset them all, so I do one back to back with another, and I try to focus on different muscle groups so that they don't interfere with each other. So I started off with squats and box jumps, so that gets a little bit of heavy weight in there as well as some explosiveness with the box jumps. Following those, I did RDLs, which I guess I do them in the form of a stiff leg deadlift, but I don't like that name, so I just call them RDLs, and I also paired that with calf press. After those, I did leg press on the leg press machine, and the reason I chose this one over the decline leg press that you just saw with the calf press is because this machine I can go to failure, whereas the decline would crush me if I did go to failure. So it lets me push a little bit harder on the legs. And even though the stack was maxed out at 480 pounds, it allowed me to go to failure around my rep range, which was perfect. I paired the leg press up with some crunches, and I was shooting for 30 reps each set, but on the last set I went a little past that. And on the last set, once I wasn't able to do any more crunches with my hands on the back of my head, I took my hands off the back of my head to lighten up the load so I can continue going. And then once I wasn't able to do those anymore, I started throwing my arms to really push past failure. Next up was leg extensions and leg curls. So these are some of my personal favorites because they're super simple and you can really just sit there and grind them out and feel it in those particular muscles. Finally, I ended with some hip thrusts to get some glute work in there, followed by some hanging leg raises for some core. So some exercises work more than just one muscle, but overall I did around 3 quad exercises, 3 hamstring exercises, 1 glute exercise, 1 calf exercise, and then 2 core exercises. But these are the kind of exercises that you can only really do in the off season because they're not necessarily the most explosive and they make you really sore afterwards, so it doesn't help you in the short term when you have a lot of races back to back. So I'm trying to use this off season to do that kind of work now. But with the gym done, that's it for the intense training and we're going back home. Firstly, I made a protein shake with 2 scoops of protein powder, and this is to help me accomplish my protein goal for the day. I also added my second daily scoop of creatine to that shake. Once that was done, I went back to my room and I did some foam rolling for a bit to help try to eliminate some soreness because people say foam rolling and stretching will help reduce soreness. Honestly, I haven't felt a huge difference in soreness, but that's what people say. And if any professionals say it, then there must be a little bit of truth to it, so I do it anyways. Following foam rolling, I wrote down my training for the day, and I think it's super crucial to keep a training log. I write every single session and include notes, and this is super helpful when you look back at your training. For example, before Grands this year, I went back and looked at what I was doing before Grands last year, and there were actually a few things that had slipped my mind and I wasn't focusing on, so reading that from last year, I started to focus on them again, and they really helped. I urge all of you that train to write down your training. It'll keep you accountable and you'll know exactly what you're doing. I started doing my training log on my computer in 2022 because it makes it a lot easier to copy and paste numbers instead of going in and handwriting every single number. But this is just a personal preference and you can log your training however you want. Finally, it was time for dinner and my mom made some chicken with broccoli, so another high protein and low calorie meal. This brought my overall calorie count to 1,577, so I am 243 calories under my goal, which is perfect, and I also met my protein goal, which is amazing. After dinner, I took this photo that was taken during the NAG 5 challenge at Grands, where I was debuting a mock jersey for the 2024 season for Factory LSG, and I photoshopped the frame out and put in the Syndyt Frame just to see how it would look, and I think it looks amazing. Many people commented on the helmet not matching at Grands, but with the new frames, the helmets are going to match perfectly. Finally, I ended the night with some stretching on FaceTime with my girlfriend, who many of you may know as Skittles. But stretching is something that I'm trying to get better at because I'm not very flexible, but that's definitely something I'm looking to improve. Alright, so it's currently 11 and I'm winding down for bed, but today was a pretty typical day, so I thought I'd take you guys through my day, show you what I do on most days. And if you enjoy this video and kind of this style of video, please let me know in the comments because this is a type of video that I could definitely do more often and post them more frequently. So please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.